podiums. For the record, my name is Dustin Geverlow. I am a member of the Special Assessment Task Force, but I'm not speaking on their behalf this meeting. I just wanted to put some positive vibes out for you guys to on the greenfield discussion. I think that when we do discuss next meeting, since I was drafted to speak to you about what the task force has been talking about and has decided that as we put this forward to voters, one thing that would, I think, go a long ways in convincing them that these reforms that we've been talking about for now 5 years are a good idea is if the city takes action to get to tackle the greenfield special assessment process and get out of the business of using the city as a bank, essentially. I think that even though in the early days we were talking about having those two tracks be parallel, because things have changed so much as far as the direction that we've gone, such as the fact that we started talking about eliminating all specials, and it's clear that we're only going to be able to start with street maintenance specials, that a good faith approach to giving taxpayers and voters confidence that we know what we're doing at the city level would be to start the process of getting out of the special assessments for greenfields business in general.
Moving on to item number 8, discussion of the elimination of greenfield new development special assessments. Commissioner Guy.
So back in the original Special Assessment Task Force, I believe we convened the first iteration of that group in 2017. Our recommendation to the Commission was to get rid of as many types of special assessments as we could. And really, the only two types right now that are practical are the greenfield special assessments and street maintenance special assessments. And I think my recollection is a bit dim, but I'm thinking that we did have a conversation at the commission table here. I think Commissioner Marquardt and I are the only ones left that would have been in that conversation. But the thought process, or the general thought was, it was fine to do that as long as the home builders and the developers were on board with it. And Keith had some, our city administrator, Keith Hunke, had some discussions with them, and some of them have been operating that way for years, meaning in their developments, they pay for all of the work above and below the street in putting in the street and the sewer and the storm sewer and all of that. And then they roll that cost into the cost of their lots. Some developers use the special assessment system where the city puts in everything. Am I going to get this wrong? The city puts in everything, and then, or is it? I'm screwed up. What is it, Keith?
Mayor and Commissioners, Commissioner Guy, the process you're talking about is how things are financed. So we have some developers that are paying for all of the city required infrastructure, whether it's above ground or below ground. And we also have developers who are using our special assessment process to finance those infrastructure improvements in the greenfield. So in recent times, with our change in the water utility rates and processes, we also have now our capital charges where we're recovering those costs for infrastructure for water and sewer. So that's been a shift that has only occurred in the last couple of years. But you're right, we have currently different modes of financing used by our developers. Some are using special assessments and some are paying for those costs out-of-pocket bank financing, whatever it might be, but not using special assessments.
And the advantage of getting rid of those greenfield special assessments is really good for the home buyer, because it's not sitting out there as a debt hanging over their heads and being considered in their debt-to-income ratio for their mortgage or any other kinds of loans they want to take out over the next 20 years or 15 years, however long it takes them to pay off those specials. And then if it's rolled into the cost of their lot, then they're able to deduct that interest cost from their taxes as well. So it's a good deal all around, and I'm kind of wondering if the developers can't do it better, faster, cheaper than we can. So it reduces our city's time and expense in putting in that infrastructure as well. So if we got rid of those special assessments, there would still be some oversight from engineering and the like, but it would not be, I think, to the degree that it is if they use special assessments. Plus, the city saves the cost of administering those special assessments and the bonding costs. So if the developers are amenable to this, then I think we should ask staff to move forward with whatever policies and procedures, we'd need to put into place to make this happen, and then say, kind of draw a line in the sand on a timeline and say any development after, a certain date, this is how it would work. That way, developments that have the present method in their business plan. I mean, we aren't asking them to change horses midstream. They can finish out that business plan using the same methodology they've used at the start.
Commissioner Zanker?
Mayor, Commissioners, Commissioner Guy, thanks for putting this on the agenda. It's always good an opportunity to get rid of special assessments. Have we circled back to talk to the developers and had those conversations to reconfirm what was said in 2017?
I don't think we have, and I think that, that would be probably the first thing that we'd ask staff to do. I think they were reluctant to move forward with anything until we gave them some direction.
Some direction, okay. All right, because obviously that would be step one, so.
Yep.
Commissioner Markowitz?
Mayor and Commissioners, Commissioner Guy, I do believe, that was the same conversation that we had when we had, put out water infrastructure in abeyance, and basically the city being the bank for that. So changing that process, of course, we did meet with all the developers at that time as well. Anytime that we can get rid of special assessments and to see what that looks like, it is a good thing. And if I remember right, I think we had like a 3 or 4 year, depending on where those business plans fell into place, we adjusted from there. So I would look forward to, seeing what that conversation take place with the developers and see where it goes from there. But I think it's a good step towards reducing some of that, and like you had mentioned, as far as some of the pluses for the homeowners as well. So, thank you.
Commissioner Plaskowski?
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what the other commissioners were saying. I think this is a great thing that we should look into and start with talking to the developers and hopefully getting rid of this special assessment. That'd be great. So do we need a motion or anything, or?
Actually, so Commissioner Guy, I do have one concern about it, though. Given what the Special Assessment Task Force is currently working on, are you looking at trying to roll this in conjunction with, or would this be afterwards and work on its own?
This would be totally separate, because this is something that we can do as commission action.
Right.
The street maintenance utility is something that, we could do that by commission action too, but we don't want to. We have, in our conversations at the table here, we've wanted to make sure that we give our taxpayers the opportunity to say yes or no to changing over to that method. So But this would be, see, when we first started talking about this 5 or so years ago, I think our thought process was that as we move forward with that street utility, we'd move forward with the greenfield too. And then when the street utility was sort of off the tracks because of legislation that we had to get passed, we sort of let that greenfield fall by the wayside unintentionally. So we'd just like to bring it back and get it moving along again.
It's something I'd be very amenable to, so I think at this point, the direction would be to direct staff to start doing some diligence on this and reach out and put together those stakeholder groups.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I move that we direct staff to move forward with talks with developers and stakeholders and work towards getting rid of those greenfield special assessments.
I second.
motion is second. Keith, any idea what a timeline would look like for staff, or maybe it's a better Ben question to...
Mayor and Commissioners, at the moment, I don't have a timeline for you, but I would like to meet with the rest of the city team and put together a game plan, and we can report back to you at the next
maybe a month or
meeting.
so, report back to the commission?
Give you a timeline and
Okay.
what we think those efforts will look like.
Perfect, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Swanskowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Markwart,
Yes.
Commissioner Zanker,
Yes.
Commissioner Guy,
Yes.
Mayor Bakken.
Yes, motion carried. Moving on to item number